And like, there's something about like calling somebody out, which you immediately respect them a little bit more, like willing to put yourself out there for a fight.
He called out Conor McGregor too.
That's what Jake's doing.
Yeah.
That kid is a master troll, dude. He's a master creating hype. Like, dude, if I'm Dana White, I'm praying that this guy can actually.
A Jake Paul Amanda Nunes boxing match.
That's because Dana said maybe I'll let Amanda Nunes knock him out.
I think people are coming around. I say if this kid was not a YouTuber, if he wasn't some guy that you knew from the time he was like 16 years old on YouTube, and you just saw him box, and you saw him knock out former UFC champions, you saw him beat legitimate boxers, or beat athletes and beat a bunch of MMA fighters, you'd go, this kid can fight. He knows how to fight. It's not, nothing he's doing looks wrong. He's not like sticking his head straight up in the air and winging punches with his eyes closed. He's fighting well. He looks good. And if he was just an up and coming boxer that was this exciting, like highly promotable, like really good at selling fights, he'd be like, this kid's the future.
In a recent episode of the Joe Rogan Experience, Joe Rogan tackled one of the most polarizing and debated hypothetical matchups in combat sports: Conor McGregor versus Jake Paul.
I don't know if Conor's ever going to fight again.
What's happening with his the civil suit? He's being dropped by all his companies or something?
Yeah, I don't know the real details of that case, but the reality is that guy's partying, and he's partying real hard.
Dude, some of his interviews, you can tell he is out of it. Have you seen the Jake Gyllenhaal and Conor interview for Roadhouse? And he's just tweaking the whole time?
He's
and
tweaking?
Jake's just like...
It's funny. Shane Gillis has a great bit about Conor McGregor in Roadhouse. He goes, Conor McGregor basically played a c***ed-out Conor McGregor in Roadhouse.
Make a new name for yourself. Look at what has happened to Michael Perry. One of our big stars here, the King of Violence. He titles himself, and he's had such a rise in the sport. Now he's up against a little dweeb of a thing in a fight this weekend that we're all rooting for him.
Don't aspire to be, one of these like YouTuber fighters.
Right.
Aspire for world titles. Aspire for Olympic.
That's him now. He's super jacked.
He looks like a bodybuilder.
See, that's what he looks like now. He's still jacked. He still looks great. He looks good though.
Whoa. He looks so old now.
He looks different.
Yeah.
Being one of the most respected voices in the fight world, Rogan's analysis carried a mix of expertise, historical context, and unfiltered opinions. His discussion not only broke down the stylistic and technical aspects of the fight, but also explored the cultural and business implications of such a blockbuster event. Rogan started by addressing the elephant in the room, Jake Paul's rise in combat sports.
I think he's like any other young up-and-coming boxer. It's just everybody dismisses him because he's a YouTuber.
For sure. It's easy to dismiss him, but I was there when he knocked out Tyron, and I was like, man, I'm done with this kid. I never wanted to corner another fight in my life, man. I was like, yo, he just knocked my boy flat out on his face, man. I was heartbroken.
Bro, he has power. It's real power. And Jake Paul wasn't Jake Paul if he wasn't this YouTube guy. He was just a boxer. And you see a boxer knock out the former UFC welterweight champion, not just the former, but one of the best ever. Knock him out with one punch like that. You'd be like, oh man, have you seen this Jake Paul dude coming up? He's for real. Because nothing about watching him fight screams like he's in over his head. If he wasn't that big YouTube star, you'd be like, that dude's got dynamite in his hand.
It is, but I see a lot of people talking funny stuff about like the leg kick didn't knock him out. What happened? Like his leg or whatever, but when he went after that leg kick, he kind of reached down to grab the foot and threw an uppercut. And I was switch stance, so I threw a cross from my backhand that clipped him good. And that's when he took the step back and was hurt. I think that's a detail people are missing, that right hand.
Well, you landed a lot of solid shots in that fight, but there's no doubt that leg kick was fucking that right leg up.
Hey, I'm sorry to have to ask you this, but I know you probably signed an NDA, but blink twice if that Jake Paul fight was set up.
Blink twice.
I know you probably.
I don't never blink because I got these liberty eyes. I don't need much air, you know what I mean, to keep them open. A lot of people wonder that, but think about this. If I say Rampage, pay you $2 million, right? Let this dude beat you, what you gonna do? You gonna feel disrespected, number one.
Yeah.
Right, that ain't enough money.
Yeah.
But I got paid in the Jake fights. For me to do that, I gotta be willing to walk away for good, and it gotta set me up for a while, at least not for life, but something like 20-something million where I can invest it and fall off in the shade, because that's what you would have to do. Would I do something like that? You would have to know me to know I'm too solid of a guy to even have somebody walk to me and ask me.
Yeah.
What happened to me is what was going to happen to him had he dropped those hands.
For a YouTuber turned boxer, Paul has defied expectations, carving out a niche in a space where many thought he would be a passing gimmick. Rogan observed, Jake Paul's not just a kid with a camera anymore. He's putting in the work, and it shows. His fundamentals, his conditioning, his power, they're all legit. This sentiment mirrors what many in the combat sports community have started to grudgingly admit. Jake Paul can fight.
Jake Paul made the call-out video. He disrespected Conor McGregor. Here's the mistake that everybody's making about Jake Paul. Because I put this on my Twitter account. I said Jake Paul's going to finish Askren in 30 seconds. And everyone's like, whoa, Askren's a fighter, blah, blah, this crap. I knew Jake Paul would smoke him because Jake Paul is the person I used to be. He's a cocky, arrogant young man who's training his ass off. You think Jake Paul isn't training? They're like, oh, he's just a YouTuber. He's training with Canelo and Ryan Garcia. The guy is training his ass off. He's not running his mouth to people without training. He's getting in there to...
What I really want is Conor. I'll put the nail in his casket.
Ideally, if you could have it your way, is it Nate, Tommy, Conor? Is KSI anywhere in that equation
Well,
anymore?
if KSI fights Tommy, he's gonna get knocked out.
Yep.
I guess it's all kind of in the air. Time will tell. Conor McGregor in 5 fights.
He's gonna be a headline.
No, seriously. It's gonna happen.
Have you put it out there?
Yeah, we don't think about it. I'm gonna fight McGregor for sure.
Have you been talking to him like you
He's already ducking me.
Everything gotta call him.
He's already ducking me. I'm gonna beat McGregor in 5 fights. Just exactly like what you said. 5 fights from now? Yeah, what's up?
Rogan highlighted Paul's impressive track record in professional boxing with victories over former MMA champions like Ben Askren, Tyron Woodley, and Anderson Silva. While his opponents were on the tail end of their careers or outside their sport, Paul's skill and power shouldn't be dismissed.
Expect there may be 1 and possibly 2 Paul brothers ringside also, cage side.
I couldn't care about them 2 dingbats.
So you don't see any future where you box either of those 2?
I don't see so, but never say never. I mean, if they're gonna keep competing and whatnot, who knows? But ding.
Yo, you see that?
Oh yeah, he's a bitch.
Bro.
I'm not a boxer. Dana White betting against me. He's gonna chicken out of the bet.
You're not knocking out Tyron Woodley or outboxing Anderson Silva unless you have serious skills. Say what you want about Jake, but he's got the goods, Rogan emphasized. The discussion on Conor McGregor by Rogan brought in the storied and tumultuous career of the Irishman. It seems Rogan depicted McGregor as one of those one-in-a-generation fighters whose rise to the top the world witnessed with awe.
Perhaps the most important fight of your career. Give us your thoughts on this rematch. He should have killed me when he had the chance, because now I'm back and I'm going to kill you and your whole f***ing team. You and their kids.
I thought it was a very good fight. Yeah. And it confirmed 2 things that I've been saying for a long time. One, Jake Paul is 100% legit. People that think he's not legit, he's conning you. He's conning you with his antics. He's conning you with his online persona and the talking and the marketing. When I saw him knock out Tyron Woodley, I'm like, that is a f***ing dangerous man.
Just want to say from the bottom of my heart, I'd like to take this chance to apologize to absolutely nobody. The double champ does what the he wants. That's what I dreamed into reality. Oh, that looks good.
Conor McGregor fired Mike Perry from the Bare Knuckle Championship.
Well, he goes from, look at what Mike Perry's doing, the BKFC put him in these positions, he's gonna fuck up that little dweeb, to you're fired. Like,
why doesn't he just get in the ring with you?
He's on Twitter, he's on his yacht, he's on cocaine, but he's not in the ring with me. And so until he does that, I don't want to hear any more shit.
McGregor still called you a donkey.
The guy's a donkey, eh?
But guess what, Conor? I'll beat the fucking out of you. I'm gonna do to Nate what you couldn't, which is knock him the out. And when he's on the canvas and you're drunk, being your alcoholic self, realizing that you your life away, that money fight will always be there. And when I knock Nate Diaz the out and you realize I'm the biggest fight for you,
from his destructive left hand to his charisma on the mic, McGregor's influence on MMA cannot be denied. In his earlier days, Rogan remembered, at his peak, Conor was untouchable. That run he had, where he dismantled Chad Mendez, Jose Aldo, and Eddie Alvarez, that was legendary.
So it makes me wonder if Conor could ever make like a successful comeback, as I feel like that like level. Yeah.
No,
but-
he could. He certainly could. I don't think you ever forget where you came from. Conor actually brought it up when someone was asking him about USADA.
It almost seemed like he was justifying drug use at some point. It was kind of wild.
It seemed exactly like
he was like, you don't know, like it was, I took myself out of the pool, everything's on board, and it was like very suggestive of this was within the rules and I had to do it. F you if you don't like agree with my decision.
However, Rogan didn't shy away from discussing McGregor's decline in recent years, whether it's his struggles in the octagon, his injuries, or his highly publicized controversies outside the cage. McGregor's star has dimmed. The Conor we've seen recently is not the same guy who came up hungry and determined. He's been living the life of a multi-millionaire, and that kind of lifestyle isn't conducive to fighting at the highest level, Rogan said. So how would a fight between Jake Paul and Conor McGregor play out?
And I think there's probably like a constant state of discomfort that they live in, where their dopamine levels are off up, their cortisol levels are off up, their bodies just, you're not supposed to get punched in the head 1,000 times a year. It's just not supposed to happen. And that's the reality of consistent training. So if you think about consistent training, like say if you and me are sparring and we meet at the gym 3 times a week and we spar 3 times a week. And so let's say we spar 5 rounds 3 times a week. 5 rounds of 5 minutes each. You might hit me 15, 20 times a round. And then we're doing that 3 times. He likes Coke.
Oh, yeah.
But I think there's another issue to talk about, and that is that a lot of fighters, when they've sustained a significant amount of damage over the course of their career, and there's no way to not get that, right? I mean, we've all seen Conor get beat up and knocked out. We've seen Conor's sparring footage. He spars pro boxers. He's sparring elite fighters. You're getting hit in the head a lot. And a lot of fighters, especially towards the end of their career, turn to drugs.
Rogan broke it down with his trademark blend of technical insight and pragmatism. The first thing you've got to consider is that this would be a boxing match, not MMA, Rogan began. In MMA, Conor would annihilate Jake within a round. But in boxing, it's a different story. Jake Paul is a big guy, big and powerful, Rogan continued in their post-fight discussion. As 6'1", roughly 200 pounds, Paul is naturally much bigger than McGregor, who's 5'7", and fought most of his MMA career at 145 and 155 pounds.
Do you think you could still throw down? Like if it had to happen? Like if Jake Paul called you out?
Well,
could you?
he'd probably f me up.
Really?
He's a really good boxer. He's a good boxer.
What if
Yeah.
it was kickboxing? He doesn't
When
really know
I
how
was
to kickbox.
a younger man and I had good knees, I could be kickboxing people, but
Yeah.
I could barely get through a workout without being in pain now. There's a reality of knees and back.
What do you think about Conor tweeting still at like 3 a.m. like coked out?
He sent shots at me and Ryan talking shit. It's crazy coming from Conor, who literally got out of the USADA pool to do legit steroids. And I was the biggest Conor fan for a long time. In the last couple weeks, ever since he sent that, I've been trying to hate him. I've been trying to be like, fuck you, Conor. But I can't. I love
Jake's got a big size advantage, and he knows how to use it. He's got a devastating right hand, and if he lands clean on Conor, it could be the problem, Rogan said. However, Rogan quickly reminded everybody that McGregor had a significant advantage in striking skill and experience. Conor's boxing is beautiful. His timing, his precision, the way he sets traps, it's all on another level. Even against Floyd Mayweather, one of the greatest boxers of all time, Conor held his own for a few rounds, explained Rogan.
I don't really care to chat about.
You never want to face Conor McGregor?
Well, I do, but that's what I'm saying. He's on Twitter, he's on his yacht, but he's not in the ring winning. And so he could say whatever he wants online, but at the end of the day, he's not his own boss. He answers to Daddy Dana, and he can't get out of his contract. I don't believe he would ever fight. Conor's on Twitter all the time. He's on his yacht all the time, but guess where he's not? In the ring fighting me. So he can talk all the he wants, but the notorious MMA is scared of Jake Joseph Paul from Disney Channel. And I put that on my mama. Thank you.
If Conor comes in focused and motivated, his skill set could overwhelm Jake. Rogan also talked about the mental aspect of the fight, an area where both fighters really shine. McGregor's trash talk and psychological warfare have famously unsettled opponents, while Paul's ability to market himself and handle pressure has been equally impressive. This fight would be a circus, and both of these guys thrive in that environment. The build-up alone would be worth the price of admission, Rogan said with a laugh. From a business perspective, Rogan acknowledged that a McGregor-Paul fight would be a massive financial success. This would be one of the biggest pay-per-views in history. You've got two of the most polarizing figures in combat sports going head-to-head. It's a promoter's dream, Rogan remarked. He speculated that the fight could generate hundreds of millions of dollars, given the global fan bases of both fighters. Ultimately, Rogan concluded that the outcome of the fight would depend on several variables, including McGregor's conditioning and focus, as well as Paul's ability to handle an opponent of Conor's caliber. If Conor comes in 100%, I'd lean toward him, but if he's not taking it seriously, Jake has a real shot at pulling off the upset, Rogan said. While the fight remains purely hypothetical, Rogan's analysis highlighted why it's such a compelling matchup. It's a clash of eras, styles, and personalities, with both fighters representing different facets of the combat sports world. Whether it ever happens or not, the debate surrounding McGregor versus Paul is a testament to the enduring appeal of big-name showdowns in the fight game.